welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a book review. As I said in my last video, I was reading Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. I did recently finish that book a couple days ago, so here's my review. Let's get into it. So I believe this book was on TikTok. I think I saw it for the first time. I was like circling around there. I saw it after I initially read the Haunting and Hunting Adeline thing that I read last year, and I didn't have Kindle Unlimited by the time I finished those two books because I only had the small trial, so I couldn't read it at the time, and I didn't really feel like buying it because I didn't know if I was gonna like it. So I did get Kindle Unlimited for Christmas this year, and I read this one. I do want to say that it was kind of like I think like a darker romance, I think is what I would describe it as. I wanted to try to make like a spoiler-free review, but I don't really think I can do that without like giving too much away, so I'm just gonna like say what it's about and we'll go from there. So basically it is about this girl. She is basically on the run from the police because she accused somebody of something and the police were like, they would never do that, blah blah blah, and she ends up killing the person that she accused of doing this bad thing, and she just runs away. And she was like traveling all around the states, and she ended up in Australia where she meets this guy, and she ends up like hanging out with this guy and steals his identity, and that's basically how she's been able to get away from the police, was stealing people's different people's identities to be able to still be free, but you know, you're not really free at that point, right? So she meets this guy in Australia. They have a really good time. They meet up at a bar, I believe. He is like this really successful shark scientist. I don't remember the specific word for it. He's he studies sharks and their behavior, and basically has this big rehabilitation center in Australia where he finds injured sharks, and he brings them to this center and he heals them back to health and lets them go. He's really comfortable with sharks, and I'm like, oh my god. They have a good time and everything, and she steals his identity the next day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, really? He doesn't know it at first, but then, you know, as soon as you get that notification like, hey, you opened a new credit card or whatever, you're like, oh, she did this, right? He finds her on this beach, and he's like, hey, let's go on my boat. And they go on this boat of his, and he, I guess, didn't check the weather because there's this big storm, and they basically get shipwrecked on this island with a lighthouse. And in this lighthouse lives this crazy old man who's been there since 1973 or whatever. He's been there for a very long time taking care of this lighthouse, and he has a liking to the girl, and he wants to keep her for himself. And the guy that she got shipwrecked with starts to fall for her, I guess. And he's like, no, we are leaving. I don't want to give the ending away, but they do end up finding a way off of the island and end up having a normal-ish life after that. My biggest thing about this book was she stole his whole life, and he still fell for her. I know this, I know it's a book, I know it's not real life, whatever, but common sense, dude, right? And I know it's an enemies to lovers type thing, you know, whatever. But I just if this was me in this situation, and I stole this guy's identity, and he wanted to kill me, you know, good for him, because that was what the heck was I thinking, right? So that was my biggest thing. I'm she stole your whole life and you still want to be with her. That's, you know, that's crazy. Another thing is when they do get off the island, before that actually, they found this cemetery, I guess, underneath the lighthouse. And there's a bunch of dead bodies, and I guess this old guy has been just killing off everybody that got on the island for no reason. The girl ends up taking the name of the older guy's other kid who died a long time ago, and was like, yeah, I'm her. Basically, like, it they fabricate this whole story so, like, they don't know that, like, she is who she is. But then at the end, she takes, like, her same name back. And it's like, what? You know, like, wouldn't, like, people notice, like, that you look like this girl or whatever that was running away from the police, and now all of a sudden you have a different name, but then you want to take your same name back? Like, it's just, like, what? Some of these things in this book that happened, I'm like, I don't think that would be, like, passable for real life, you know? And for, like, the name thing, she tries to, like, explain how it wouldn't have mattered if they found her or not, because the picture that was submitted of her was her, like, from a long time ago when she was 13, and her parents never took pictures of her because her brother was the favorite and everything. You still have your same face, right? I've looked like this since I was, like, 15 years old, and I am not 15 years old anymore. But yeah, some of this stuff was just, like, silly, you know? She was saying stuff like, I'm gonna be arrested or whatever, and the guy's like, no, there's different rules in Australia, they won't arrest you, or we can go to, like, this other country and they won't arrest you for this either, they won't turn you into the US police. But it's like I can't believe that, like, the different countries, like, they would find this fugitive, right, from the US, she, like, left there, she escaped or whatever, they're not gonna, like, turn her in? What? Really? I don't know. Some of this stuff was just, like, silly. I think it's because it's not, like, very realistic, you know, to me. Like, this book is probably the most, like, close to real life that I read. It's not, like, fantasy or anything, and fantasy is my favorite genre, so, like, if this type of stuff happened in there, I'd get it because they have, like, magic and powers and crap. But in this one, it's like, this is, like, real life-ish type stuff, right? So I, like, expect it to be, like, closer to real life. I watch a lot of anime, so my, like, comparison would be, like, a slice of life type book, right? And also, like, the old guy living there, he had a different daughter, and she was just, like, locked upstairs for, like, her entire life. And he tried to, like, say that, oh, it's just the ghosts or whatever of these prisoners that washed up on the beach, but there was never any, like, prisoner ships or anything. She finds this book that describes, like, all the events that happened on this island and all these different, like, shipwrecks that happened on this island, and, like, these prisoners, like, never show up in there. Did he really think they would never notice that? Because they just left this book in their room. They had to share a room this whole time they were on this island, and he locked them up every night. You know, it's just weird. It's just so weird. And I understand, like, they couldn't leave because there's no radio. The guy claimed that the, like, light on the lighthouse didn't work, even though he's been taking care of this thing for his entire life. He dedicated his whole life to taking care of this lighthouse because he's been there since he was 18 or whatever. He, like, his lies, like, do not make any sense. He was saying stuff about how his wife and his other daughter left. He just left, but I think because since they found that cemetery, he just killed them because they didn't want to be there anymore. So he just killed them off. And so that's why he wanted to keep the main girl for himself, because he didn't have anybody else who was, like, normal, you know. There's a lot of other things that happened in this book too that I was just like, what? And just, like, questioning for, like, how realistic this would, like, actually be. Because there was one part, so they wash up on the island, and she says that she found him unconscious in the water, and she, like, swam them both back to shore, like, back to this island, and she was swimming for, I think she said, like, 58 minutes. She was counting in her head how long she was swimming for. 58 minutes? Really? You had to be, like, so specific about how long you were swimming. And then she never tells him how long she was actually swimming for. She just says that, like, she was swimming for a while or whatever, but a while could mean a lot of different things, you know? And because the like main girl had kind of like what I would consider like a more of a male like name, I thought it was told from a guy's point of view, but it wasn't because of how like she was talking in the beginning. It sounded like it was a dude until I got to like chapter like, I don't know, like 3 or something. Whenever she meets the guy is when I finally realized that it was told from a girl's point of view, because she was saying something about like, oh my, I don't remember exactly what she was saying, but she like referred to herself as like as a girl. And then it also switches like between both of their point of views, which I thought was interesting, because you got to see like what he was thinking at certain times. Like she would feel like kind of like sad, or and then it would switch to his point of view, and he would like kind of explain a little bit like what he was thinking at that moment, which I thought was kind of interesting, so you can like see both sides of the story. There was a couple parts that were misleading. Like one that really stands out was when, so the old guy leaves for like a long time. It seems like it was like days that he was just gone. Okay, because she was saying stuff like, oh, we had to rotate our shirts or whatever. Oh, I grabbed the last shirt from his closet, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like gone for like a very long time. And then he just shows back up again and starts shooting things. And she thinks that like the other guy is dead, because she hears 2 shots or whatever. And then she comes downstairs from where she was like up with the girl, and the old guy is like, oh, he'll be dead soon. Like, it sounds like he shot him, but there's no blood anywhere. She says so. She's like, there's no blood anywhere. And then it switches to his point of view, and he like kind of reiterates what happened with the shooting. And like he says that the old guy like missed him and then shot the gun that he had and locked him in this cellar. What? No. You know, I could talk about this book for a very long time, but there's just some things I'm just like, okay. You know, I think it's supposed to make you feel like that because of the type of book that it is and the type of writer that the author is. Her other books were kind of similar. I know she has a few more out there that I am actually looking forward to reading. I really do like their writing style, so I think I will read more of their books. It was just this one I saw like circling TikTok for like a long time. I'm like, I'll just read it. It's fine. That'll bring us to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked this review. I know it was more of like telling you guys what happened and like my thoughts about like what was going on. But anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any ideas for videos in the future, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your ideas, and maybe I can make it happen. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!